funny conversation. You know, a lot of times I'll read online and I'll follow the Brazilian surf fans compared to the American surf fans compared to the Australians and anywhere else. Everyone's unique. You know, everyone's different. Brazilians have a lot of pride and they're really loyal to their surfers and to their friends. And you know, maybe we don't see that same culture quite so much in America. Australia, we see a bit more of that. But just naturally in Brazil, so many people have to fight for their lives. You know, they have to fight for their families and to make money, and it's a harder life in Brazil, and there's more challenges than maybe what a kid in California or Florida, where I'm from, has to deal with. There's maybe more opportunity in places like Australia and California, and so the Brazilians have had to work really hard to get that respect, you know, and they also have had a chip on their shoulder, rightfully so, because I think Brazilians weren't maybe getting that respect of the top surfers or the industry, the sponsors, the money, all those things. And there's a saying in English, the chickens will come home to roost, meaning something's been waiting to happen for a long time and now it's happening. And so you're seeing the dominance of Brazilians in pro surfing, and that was probably, as it started to happen, it was probably a little bit tough for me, to be honest, because it was just a new phase. It was a brash, kind of in-your-face fan base. I think all the guys themselves, you know, if you're going to look at all the Brazilians on tour, they're all really nice guys. I get along with basically every one of them really well, and I think they're all good people. But you know, when somebody comes to take your title, it's not going to go down without a fight and some ego being hurt and all those kind of things. So the Brazilians have fought their way in there, and they've learned, and they've kind of sat back and figured out where the future of surfing is going with the aerials and the maneuvers and the technical abilities, and they're leading the way now. I think it's really hard to look past Gabe, Felipe, and Ítalo as being really the dominant force and energy on the tour. Obviously, John's right there with those guys, but he keeps getting injured. And you know, when he's not injured, he seems to find a way to just surf to a level where he beats people, even if he's not doing the airs. He's really just gotten amazing all around. But it's those four guys that are leading the charge in the world, and I think it's a wake-up call for Americans and Australians to step up their game and stop being complacent, and you know, deciding if they really want this, because those guys really want it and they're taking it, and I have a lot of respect for that. I felt that same kind of way coming from Florida, going to California and Australia and all these places as a kid. I saw what, I didn't see what was being done, I saw what was not being done, and that was my motivating factor. I always thought it could be the way my mind surfed, not just went out and surfed. And that's where the level's going now. I always go back to this thing. When I first got on tour, I thought the level was really low. I thought it was appallingly low, and people should all be pushing their surfing better and better, and the level should be higher, and it should be harder to beat the guy who's number 20 or 30 in the world. It shouldn't be easy. And now you're seeing that, and the experience for people is, you go watch, you might go watch a guy you know nothing about him, and he could beat the top guy in the world in any heat. And so I think that's exciting for surfing and for the levels. But getting back to your point with the Brazilian contingency, you know, I'm really proud of those guys. They've done a great job, and I really enjoy being around them. Well, look, when I was younger, there weren't a whole lot of girls. You go down to the beach, you don't see a lot of the girls surfing. It was just very dominated by men and boys, and I mean, when I was a kid, it was hard to get a surfboard made my size, or a wetsuit or any of that stuff. So that there was no industry for it. And that's why it was also hard to be sponsored when I was young. And they weren't selling, kids weren't selling clothes. It was very much dominated by older guys. The girls now, I sponsor I sponsor Sakura, Betty Lou, in Hawaii, and Sierra Kerr also for surfboards. And these girls are around all the boys. They're watching all the videos of the best surfers in the world, and they're just basically learning by being around it all the time. And I think there wasn't so much of the exposure in the culture for the girls before, and now they don't just look to other girls to see what the level is. They're looking to the guys. And there's always been girls that are like outliers that are really good compared to the other girls, especially in the amateurs. Like Carissa, when she was young, she used to beat the guys all the time. Melanie Bartels from Hawaii, I heard stories of her beating all kinds of guys that were pros when they were kids and amateurs. And so there's been a whole lot of notable surfers like that. But now what you're seeing is just the girls are constantly pushing with their guy friends and the young groms coming up. And I think that level is more quickly rising in the women than the guys at this point. And rightfully so. They're getting stronger, they're training more, and really passionate about the future of what it holds for them. When I'm not surfing, I'm usually golfing, to be honest. And here and there, I like to get to a jiu-jitsu class. I've been off and on training in BJJ for like 15 years, but really not enough. Sometimes I go to a couple classes in a week, and then I won't go for like a year, and like, no joke. Just because of the travel, and it's a little uncomfortable to go to a new class where you don't know anyone. And I think, especially for me, they're either going to be, a lot of people are in the jiu-jitsu world, they're great. They're really welcoming and helping, but you always have that guy who wants to kick your ass too and break your wrist or something. I've experienced that a couple times. And so that's no fun. I just don't want to get hurt. And I actually have carried a few injuries for the last few years. My back has been a problem with ongoing problems, and my foot, obviously. And I've had just a couple things here and there, and I didn't want to get hurt. After coming back from an injury, I haven't wanted to surf, but wanted to get hurt, so it puts me out of the water. So I sometimes just avoid jiu-jitsu in case, because I can tend to kind of push a little bit too, and if I get aggressive, I could probably get hurt, from somebody who's just bigger or stronger, better than me. And so I don't know that my four things are surf, golf, jiu-jitsu, and music. I just play a lot of guitar, and I'm mostly at home by myself. And I actually spend quite a lot of time just alone on my own, and I kind of like that. And what else? Been spending some time with my daughter and just my girlfriend, and just been home a lot. I'm at home right now for the first time in 2 years, back to Florida. I've been away with COVID and everything. I wasn't traveling very much. I was kind of going to Hawaii, Australia, Bali, back to Hawaii for months at a time. Usually I'm every week or two in a plane, and the past year and a half, 2 years has been really like 3 months or more in one place at a time, which has been really nice because I don't get to do that a lot. Yeah, thanks. I'll just say the Brazilian fans, they're so passionate, and I think thankfully for me, they've been on my side more often than not ever since I first started on tour. When I first came to Brazil in 1992, this next year will be 30 years since I first came to Brazil, and the fans have always been super supportive. There's been a few that didn't like me, but I would say 95% or more have always been supportive of me. And I was always surprised by the amount of support I got in Brazil, being an American. I think maybe that's changing now because because you guys have world champions and you have people who are competing at the top level.
And I think, if a country doesn't have someone at the top level, they can easily sort of jump on the train of someone else, because it's like there's different levels. And so, okay, that's the guy like at the top level, or these are my favorite guys from our country or whatever. But the Brazilians have always taken well to me, and I appreciate that. And I've always had a soft spot in my heart for the plight of the community, and I've met a lot of people who've done a lot of really good things. Notably, people like Flavio Canto, who's working with the kids from the favela and teaching them judo and jiu-jitsu in his dojo at his gym. But just lots of people like that who reach out and have a foot in the surf world, and also have a foot in a lot of other worlds. Obviously, jiu-jitsu is huge in Brazil, and it's been a really fun thing to be a part of. I've made a lot of good friends through it. Marcus Buchecha and the Hicks and Gracie and all the Gracies, and Ricardo Rona was my bodyguard, my security last time I was in Brazil, and he's an old friend. And I always look forward to getting back and seeing my friends down there. So yeah, I'll just say this: everywhere I go in the world, I feel like there's a part of me that's there. And Australia has always been a home. Hawaii, California, all these places I go, France, I feel like they always in some way become like home and or a family to me. And Brazil's been no different. When I was first coming there, I became friends with Roberto Mora, and he took me in, and me and my friends would stay with him in São Conrado, and he just looked after us forever. And then in recent years, I became friends with Luciano Huck, and Luciano's always had dinner parties for us and music at his house for the surfers and stuff. And but there's so many friends. I think tomorrow I'm gonna go see Vitor Belfort, Vitor's now living in down in South Florida. So I think I'm gonna see Vitor tomorrow, and maybe Gilbert Burns as well, and do a little training with some of my surf buddies. So that should be fun. But yeah, it's become a big part of my world to be friends with a lot of those guys. It's been really fun to watch all these guys' careers and to be part of their environment and their ecosystem and their friends. And so Brazil's definitely like another home for me, with my friends and families down there. So thank you guys, and keep your heads up, and tell all the young kids to just put all their energy and passion into surfing. If that's the thing you love, there's a big world out there to go visit, and a lot of people all over this planet to go enjoy it with, and have a good time.